I am so glad you are joining me today for my Techniques How-To. Each week I will share a new technique and you will be able to download a free technique page with step-by-step directions from my blog. So along with the video and the booklet, you will have a great resource when you want to get creative and stamp a card. Let's get started with this week's technique, Embossed Wax Paper Resist. First, you will need a piece of wax paper just a bit bigger than your embossed folder. Place the wax paper between your folder and run it through your Big Shot. Take a piece of glossy cardstock face up and place your embossed piece of wax paper on top. Then place a piece of copy paper over the top to protect your iron when you iron. Set your iron on the cotton setting, and when it's ready, iron over the paper back and forth just a few times. It's a little difficult to see here, but this is how it will look. Now let's show you the magic of this technique. First, we're going to take our piece that we have ironed our wax paper technique on. We're going to take our ink pad and we're going to ink this silk sponge, and you're just going to go into a swirling motion. And you will see that there are places that the ink sticks and places that the ink doesn't stick. And that's what's going to give us that fun background design that we're looking for. And you can use different designs depending on which project you want to use. Once I get this all covered, I sometimes wipe it off with a little bit of a tissue just to take off the excess ink. But you can see if you want a little darker, you can let it dry and then add a little more ink. Now that we have that piece finished, we're going to adhere it to our Tangerine Tango with our snail. And remember, the trick to snail is to burnish, burnish, burnish. We're going to take our ribbon and wrap it around, and we're just going to tie this in one of those, I guess you'd call it a square knot. I'm not that familiar with my knots, even though I did take sailing classes years ago and we had a sailboat for many years. I just call it that whatchamajiggy knot. Anyway, we're going to trim that off. This is my favorite scissor to trim ribbon with. It's absolutely amazing. And I chose to add this to my card front with dimensionals just because I like things to pop up and I like dimension on my card. Just going to peel the backings off those. These you find all over my house. They stick to your socks, my husband's socks. We're just going to put that on our card like that. And so that's our base of our card. We started out with 5.5 by 8.5 in our pool party. This one here is 3.5 by 4 3/4. This Tangerine Tango is 3 3/4 by 5, and that's the dimensions on those. Now we're going to take our leaf vine image out of the Madison Avenue, and we're going to ink that up and we're going to stamp it on our thing, our piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now I stamped this in Tangerine Tango and I pre-cut it out using our floral framelits. It's the smallest little framelits from that framelit set. Here are all the framelits you get in that set, and I cut it out. It happens to fit perfectly with that image, so it's really fun to work with. And again, I want to pop that up with a dimensional. And I'm going to adhere this to a piece of Old Olive. So the white is 2 by 2 3/4, and then that Old Olive piece is just 1/4 of an inch larger than that. Now, one of my favorite things is buttons, and a lot of times, you know, to put the button on there is fine. You could tie some twine around it, but I do like to make these little paper, what I call paper threads. And I do them in our tabletop cutter because you can cut the most intricate little slivers off for these paper threads. The other thing that's amazing about it is you also are able to trim your cards when you sometimes have that little piece that's just a little bit wider. You can just cut a sliver off without ruining your card. Now I crisscross that in back. I stick my button on, and then I'm going to trim it again so that those little threads aren't showing out front. And I just stick that on my thing, and it looks like I've sewn it on my paper. Now for a finishing touch, I am taking our little itty bitty banner stamp set, which is one that I seem to be using all the time, mostly because I love the little banners. And that set too has a set of framelits that go perfectly with it. Let's stick this over our little flower like that. And again, you can never have too many dimensionals sometimes to save, because I like to use so many of them. I put one in each corner, and that balances it out. When you put it on your card, you get the dimension, but kind of saves you from using 4 if you want to be thrifty. And I'm just going to lay that on our card, and there we are. And here's our little technique booklet that I showed you at the beginning, and here is our little sample that we can put in there to remind us of what the technique was, with complete directions. I put it on a little key ring, and at the end of the year you should have 52 of these if you visit my blog every week. This is a free thank you for stopping by gift. There'll be a little link that is called Technique Booklet. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we do repetition stamping. My blog address is www.stampstodiefor.com. Hope to see you next week.